not always necessary to perform a mid-course burn, but Cargo Dragon should be performing one today. We will be looking for Cargo Dragon to do that mid-course burn around 17 minutes and 30 seconds from now. After that, we'll be looking for more milestones from Dragon, and that will be that 1,000 meters, and that's about 23 minutes from now. Dragon is filled today with more than 4,800 pounds of research, crew supplies, and hardware to the space station to support Expedition 65 and 66. Of that cargo is 1,058 pounds of crew supplies, 2,305 pounds of science investigations, 153 pounds of spacewalk equipment.
And you sent on space to ground 1 for comm config.
Go ahead on 1.
Hey, Megan, we have returned RSA-2 over to public call 5, so you now have ICOM back over to the Russian segment. In addition, we're ready to take all U.S. OSCOM back to Space to Ground 2.
We copy. We're going back to 2, and we have ICOM back. Thank you.
There are currently 7 crew members living and working aboard the station. Expedition 65, from the left, consists of engineers Pyotr Dubrov of Roscosmos, Shane Kimbrough, and Megan MacArthur, both of NASA astronauts, and Thomas Pesquet of the European Space Agency, with Commander Aki Hoshide of JAXA and flight engineers Oleg Novitsky of Roscosmos and Mark Van de Heij of NASA. Again, our next milestone is that AI mid-course burn. That's an approach initiation burn, and we're looking for that to happen in about 12 minutes. This is Mission Control Houston. If you're just joining us, we're bringing you live coverage today of the approach and docking of Cargo Dragon to the International Space Station. Cargo Dragon is still in orbital nighttime, but we'll be bringing you those views shortly. Cargo Dragon is currently tracking ahead of schedule, and we're now looking for an updated docking time around 9:30 a.m. Central Time. Dragon has completed the rendezvous phase of its operations to dock with the International Space Station and is now in the approach and docking phase.
Moscow Station on Space to Ground 1. Go ahead on Space to Ground 1. LECOM assets now are in the usual config, nominal config. Copy, Piotr. Thank you so much. Station Moscow on Space to Ground 1. Guys, if you have a chance, could you please report the PRK tunnel pressure?
$174.5.
174.5 is the PRK pressure.
Cargo Dragon has conducted a series of burns over the last day to get it where it is now, about 2,380 meters away from the ISS. Those burns consisted of a series of phase burns, boost burns, and co-elliptic burns, and have maneuvered Dragon to its current position in an orbital nighttime, flying above the North Pacific Ocean. Before our coverage started today, teams in Mission Control Houston and Spacex teams in Hawthorne, California conducted a go-no-go poll for the approach initiation burn. The teams were all go for the approach initiation burn, which took place about 3 minutes before our coverage began at 8 a.m. Central Time. Up next is the approach initiation mid-course burn to make sure Dragon converges with its upcoming milestones. It's not always necessary to perform a mid-course burn, but Cargo Dragon will be performing one today, set to happen in just 3 minutes and 55 seconds. And we're about 30 seconds out from that AI mid-course burn. That AI mid-course burn is underway and about 45 seconds left until it has been completed. That AI mid-course burn is complete, and we're hearing reports that it was nominal. The approach initiation mid-course burn was one of the last major burns to complete the approach and docking phase of the mission. That burn sped up Cargo Dragon to get it to the approach ellipsoid, which is an imaginary sphere around the International Space Station that formally begins integrated operations between the teams here in Mission Control Houston and the teams in Hawthorne, California. Integrated operations have since been underway between the teams here in Mission Control Houston and the teams in Mission Control, Spacex Mission Control in Hawthorne, California. That approach initiation mid-course burn set Dragon up for its next milestone, which is Waypoint 0, 400 meters below the International Space Station on what's called the R-bar, which really goes directly up and down in the terms of altitude from the space station. Waypoint 0 is just outside what is called the keep-out sphere. After Waypoint 0, Cargo Dragon.
These were USOS shutters.
Batman 2.
Hey, Aki, yeah, we're looking for confirmation that the shutters are closed.
Not yet. I have a timer started, but would you like it now? I know that it's 30 minutes prior to the scheduled time, and my alarm just went off.
Yeah, much appreciate you getting them closed.
Okay, got it. Full report.
Dragon now visible in orbital daytime above Western Canada. That white speck in the middle of your screen is Dragon as it approaches the International Space Station.
Station Houston and 2 for Dragon. Dragon range is approximately 1,000 meters. Monitor long-range approach per step 1 and 1.102 uncrewed Dragon approach and retreat monitoring.
Copy, Houston. That's in work.
And you just heard Capcom Leslie Ringo read up to Megan MacArthur in the cupola monitoring Dragon's approach today that Dragon is now under 1,000 meters away from the International Space Station.
Houston station on 2 for Dragon monitoring. Dragon is in sight and attitude is stable.
8 words.
And you just heard that tally-ho call coming down from Shane Kimbrough and Megan MacArthur inside the cupola at this hour, meaning they have spotted the Dragon spacecraft.
Copy close. Thank you, Aki.
Dragon is slowing its approach to that next milestone, which is Waypoint 0, 400 meters directly below the International Space Station. Dragon will pass right through Waypoint 0 after a go, no-go poll here in just under 3 minutes. It will not pause, and the next milestone we will be looking for will be moved out in front of the International Space Station outside of a zone called the Keep Out Sphere. The Keep Out Sphere is just about 180 meters around the International Space Station. It'll maintain its distance outside of that sphere until its next milestone, which is 220 meters in front of the docking axis at Waypoint 1. We are currently in a brief handover between satellites. We shall have views back shortly. Just a few minutes away from Waypoint 0 arrival. We will stand by for confirmation Dragon has reached that milestone. Teams here in Mission Control Houston now conducting a go-no-go poll to proceed past Waypoint 0. And that picture is becoming a little more clear. On the right side of your screen is the International Space Station. And as you can see at the mid-top, that is Cargo Dragon as it approaches. Once docked today, Cargo Dragon will join Crew Dragon, already docked to the International Space Station. It arrived in April with Crew 2, NASA's Shane Kimbrough, Megan McArthur, Aki Hoshide of JAXA, and Thomas Pesquet of the European Space Agency. Shane Kimbrough and Megan McArthur are the two monitoring Dragon's approach this morning. And currently, Dragon is just under 6 minutes away from that Waypoint 0 arrival. We'll stand by for confirmation of that milestone being reached. Again, that approach is being monitored by Shane Kimbrough and Megan McArthur this morning from the cupola aboard the International Space Station. If you're just joining us, this is Mission Control Houston bringing you live coverage of the approach and docking of Cargo Dragon to the International Space Station this morning. Dragon is ahead of schedule and has an updated docking time around 9:30 a.m. Central Time. Dragon is currently preparing for its next milestone, which is the arrival at Waypoint 0, or 400 meters below the International Space Station, on what's called the R bar, which goes directly up and down in terms of altitude from the space station. Waypoint 0 is just outside what is called the Keep Out Sphere. After Waypoint 0, Cargo Dragon will swing out in front of the International Space Station, maintaining its distance outside of the Keep Out Sphere to a point called Waypoint 1, which is just around 220 meters directly in front of the docking axis of the Harmony module. If everything looks good at Waypoint 1, Dragon will continue through Waypoint 1 to inside the Keep Out Sphere. After that joint go-no-go poll from the teams in Mission Control Houston and Spacex teams in Hawthorne, California, they'll continue through Waypoint 1 and hold at Waypoint 2, just 10 meters away from the International Space Station. That hold is just a matter of minutes. They'll hold to make sure everything is lined up between Cargo Dragon and the ISS, and it will resume from Waypoint 2 to its contact position for capture, now scheduled for a 9:30 a.m. Central Time docking. And we're about 30 seconds out from that Waypoint 0 arrival.
Houston station on Space to Ground 2 for Dragon approach.
Go ahead, on 2.
Show transition to docking axis, range is 375 and attitude as expected.
Copy all.
And we have confirmation that Dragon has passed Waypoint 0. And the next milestone is Waypoint 1. Dragon now on its way to Waypoint 1. It'll swing out in front of the International Space Station and position itself 220 meters directly above the International Space Station, where it'll reach Waypoint 1. Dragon will continue through Waypoint 1 to inside the Keep Out Sphere after that joint go-no-go poll from the teams here in Mission Control Houston and SpaceX teams in Hawthorne, California. Again, NASA astronauts Shane Kimbrough and Megan MacArthur are inside the cupola right now, monitoring Dragon's approach this morning. They have a tool called the RPOP, or Rendezvous Proximity Operations Program, that'll provide telemetry through a link called C2V2, or Common Communications for Visiting Vehicles. That link between the International Space Station and Cargo Dragon, providing data and telemetry. And if you're ever wondering where the space station is or when it will pass above your home, visit spotthestation.nasa.gov and you can watch the International Space Station pass overhead. It is the third brightest object in the sky, and it's easy to spot if you know where to look. Visible to the naked eye, it looks like a fast-moving plane, only much higher and traveling about 17,500 miles per hour. The next milestone is Waypoint 1. Dragon is now on its way to Waypoint 1. It'll swing out in front of the International Space Station and position itself 220 meters directly above the International Space Station. Dragon will continue through Waypoint 1 to the inside of the Keep Out sphere. After that joint go-no-go poll from Mission Control Houston and Spacex Mission Control teams in Hawthorne, California. And we're about 17 minutes away from that Waypoint 1 arrival. That actually, Dragon will continue through Waypoint 1 and hold at Waypoint 2, just 10 meters away from the International Space Station before giving that final go-no-go for contact. Once Cargo Dragon arrives to the station, it will dock to the space-facing side of the station's Harmony module and will join 4 other spacecrafts: Crew Dragon, Cygnus 16, the Soyuz MS-18, and Progress 78. Cargo Dragon, now about 323 meters away from the station. We're looking for that next milestone, Waypoint 1, coming at the 220 meters directly in front of the docking access. If you are just joining us, this is Mission Control Houston bringing you live coverage of the approach and docking of Cargo Dragon to the International Space Station. You are looking live at Cargo Dragon from an external camera on the International Space Station. Just to recap some of the milestones this morning, Dragon did an AI or approach initiation burn before we started coverage at 8 a.m. this morning, Central Time, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Dragon had completed an approach initiation mid-course burn, and Dragon has now passed through Waypoint 0. We are looking for that Waypoint 1 arrival in about 12 minutes from now.
Station Houston and 2 for Dragon. Houston and Station are go for Dragon to approach to 20 meters.
Station copies.
And after a successful go-no-go poll around the room in Mission Control Houston, that was Capcom Leslie Ringo relaying to Shane Kimbrough and Megan MacArthur that we have a go for Waypoint 1, and we're just under 9 minutes until that arrival. Cargo Dragon now about 300 meters away from the station. That next milestone, Waypoint 1, coming at 220 meters directly in front of the docking access. These are the views that the crew in the cupola is getting aboard the International Space Station, called C2V2 Common Communications for Visiting Vehicles, that link between the International Space Station and Cargo Dragon, providing the data and telemetry you see. RPOP, or the Rendezvous Proximity Operations Program, provides that telemetry through the link C2V2 Common Communications for Visiting Vehicles. And Cargo Dragon is now just under 4 minutes away from that Waypoint 1 arrival. Everything is still looking good for that approach and docking for Cargo Dragon this morning. You are currently seeing live views of the International Space Station Flight Control Room, where the Orbit 2 team, being led by Flight Director Jeff Radigan, is leading the team to the docking of Cargo Dragon this morning. And we're about 1 minute out from that Waypoint 1 arrival. We just received confirmation Cargo Dragon has passed Waypoint 1, and everything is still looking good for the approach and docking for Cargo Dragon today.
Houston Station on 2 for Dragon monitoring.
Go ahead.
Leslie, we show vehicle mode approach to a line point. Range is decreasing to 11 and decreasing now, and attitude as expected.
Copy all.
And that was NASA astronaut Megan MacArthur reporting good data, lining up with what the flight control team is seeing here in Mission Control Houston. Again, that next milestone is the 20 meters away from the International Space Station at Waypoint 2. And Cargo Dragon is now inside the keep out sphere. Cargo Dragon now 144 meters away from the station. To recap some of the milestones we've already seen Cargo Dragon complete this morning, we have seen the approach initiation burn before we started our coverage. Then we saw the approach initiation mid-course burn. Dragon has now passed Waypoint 0 and Waypoint 1, and it's approaching Waypoint 2 at this time, now about 6 minutes out from that Waypoint 2 arrival. Everything is still looking good for the approach and docking this morning. Cargo Dragon just under 82 meters away from the space station. We are looking for Cargo Dragon to reach its next milestone in just under 3 minutes, and that's that Waypoint 2 arrival. And Dragon is now just under 30 meters away from the International Space Station and about 30 seconds from that Waypoint 2 arrival. Dragon has arrived at Waypoint 2, and there's now being conducted a go-no-go for final docking. Cargo Dragon will hold here at Waypoint 2 until we get that go for final docking and approach and docking. Shane Kimbrough and Megan MacArthur are still in the cupola monitoring Dragon's approach this morning from the International Space Station. Waypoint 2 is the final milestone before contact and capture. Next up will be Waypoint 2 departure to close in for contact and capture.
Houston Station for Dragon monitoring in step 4, no offsets greater than 3 degrees.
Copy.
Houston Station on 2, we have reviewed steps 5 and 6, and we are ready for docking.
Copy. Stand by while we prepare for Dragon to resume approach.
Standing by.
Station Houston and 2, Dragon is resuming approach and is go for docking. Monitor per steps 5 and 6 in 1.102, uncrewed Dragon approach and retreat monitoring.
Station copies, go for approach, we're monitoring.
And Dragon has... And Cargo Dragon has resumed its approach to the International Space Station. We are currently getting views of the Rendezvous proximity operations program that the crew is seeing in the cupola as they monitor the approach this morning. Cargo Dragon just under 11 meters away from the International Space Station. Dragon is now 5 meters away from the International Space Station. Cargo Dragon is 2 meters away from the International Space Station.
Station Houston and 2, Dragon capture, Dragon contact and soft capture complete.
And we have confirmed contact and capture at 9:30 a.m. Central Time, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time over Western Australia. Ring retraction in progress.
Station Houston N2, ring retraction in progress.
Copy, ring retraction.
Again, confirmed contact and soft capture confirmed at 9:30 a.m. Central Time as the International Space Station and Cargo Dragon were flying 264 statute miles above Western Australia. We are now standing by as Dragon undergoes some final steps for hard capture. The first is the retraction of the soft capture ring. There's also 12 hooks that will drive to maintain a hard mate with the International Space Station. That will be the next milestone coming up for Cargo Dragon to officially dock to the International Space Station. And that's a hard capture with 12 hooks that will drive. Again, that soft capture ring nearing the end of its retraction. The 12 hooks will then begin driving to hard mate Dragon to its new home. Ring retraction is now complete.
Ring retraction is complete. Docking sequence is holding for MCS reconfiguration.
Station copies.
And that was Capcom Leslie Ringo relaying to the team in the cupola, Shane Kimbrough and Megan MacArthur, that ring retraction is now complete. Again, that next step will be those 12 hooks driving to form a hard mate between Cargo Dragon and the International Space Station.
Station Houston N2 and CEST is configured, proceeding with hook driving.
Some copies.
Hooks have begun to drive. And we currently have half of the hooks driven, and we are waiting on that other half to drive. Once all 12 hooks are closed, we'll have a hard mate to the International Space Station. and we have confirmation hard capture is complete.
On 2, hard capture complete, and another excellent Dragon docking complete.
Congratulations to NASA and the SpaceX teams, and many thanks. No one's ever sent me a spaceship for my birthday before. I appreciate it.
That's the most excellent birthday present.
And that was NASA astronaut Megan MacArthur confirming that hard capture is complete. Dragon has now made it to the International Space Station. And if you did not know, today is her birthday, so happy birthday, Megan MacArthur. Cargo Dragon has now made it to the International Space Station. Hatches are expected to be open later today to access some of that science and cargo on board Dragon. We confirmed contact and soft capture of Cargo Dragon at 9:30 a.m. Central Time, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, as International Space Station and Cargo Dragon were flying 264 statute miles over Western Australia. With Cargo Dragon successfully docked to the International Space Station, that'll wrap up our coverage this morning. This is Mission Control Houston.